Tomorrow.
Okay, calling this meeting to order, 4:17 p.m. Is DJ going to be taking minutes?
DJ is coming today, as I said. He's got to meet with a very important person. He's not going to be able to. So I'm recording on two. I got a transcript going and I also have the YouTube and blog.
So we don't need someone to take it. Just check in. Welcome, everybody, to the June 12th Kingston Arts Commission meeting. Everyone has their agenda, I hope. And there's lots of handouts to guide our discussions today. Part of my welcome, I also want to congratulate Kit for her achievement award that was presented by the Mohawk Consultants Group. And I want to congratulate NCAD for receiving an award yesterday for the Ulster County Art Awards. So put it on the minutes. Thank you very much. Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting? May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion first. Motion first.
Definitely on date on it.
Huh?
Definitely on date on it.
Okay.
So. And also,
I need a motion first, Richard.
oh, I'm sorry. So
You
let's
said
get that long.
Did I get a second?
Okay.
Who was that? Cicely?
Yes.
Board motion. Cicely, second. Okay. Richard, the date is wrong.
Huh?
Yes, the date is wrong.
The date's wrong.
What should the date be, please?
May 8th.
Okay, thank you. It does say May 8th, but I'm not sure what you're looking at.
It says March.
What am I doing?
Oh, it's,
Mine says March 15th.
Yeah. mine
Yeah.
is The one that was sent to us.
I'm sorry.
But this one says.
Well, please take those handouts then, because I have two deaths in the family and a lot of things going on. So if there's copies of the minutes from last time on the table,
Oh,
and you'll please have to excuse me if you received the wrong one.
And I just had two things,
is it?
very small.
The same.
Okay. Oh, no, the one that was emailed. One says.
And for the record, it's BURG. That's for DJs.
For Lester.
Is that a correction on the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
As in Hamburg is supposed to iceberg.
Backwards to scrub.
And if you could speak up, please, so that I can hear, because I was trying to help DJ with these minutes and I could barely hear everybody in the back of the room. And I'm relying on the recording and YouTube.
Was there any other corrections?
Yeah, I just, what, there's a, in the 1, 2, 3, third paragraph down, fourth line, it's to not open the cost of the thing, that's my understanding. But I didn't understand, there's something on the last page, within Act 30 in attendance, is that an obligation that I don't understand or something?
Approximately.
Yeah. Oh, approximately. Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't know it had that. Okay, that's.
Any other questions or comments about the minutes of May 8th? May I have a vote to approve the minutes? All in favor? All, any other? Okay, unanimous. Unanimous. Let's move on. Okay, we have a very special guest with us today, the 2024 Distinguished Artist Awardee, Matthew Pleva, giving us an update on his whereabouts and activities.
Correct. Okay, so I have secured the Cornell Creative Space for October.
What's the date?
It's month of October. I believe I'm hoping the opening will be the 4th. And my goal is to also piggyback it off of O Positive by getting them to include it in the flyer for the festival.
Right.
And I still have to talk to the Cornell people about being open on Sunday because they're closed on Sundays. But I'm going to make it as easy as pie for them and say I will pay for the person to sit, or I will sit, physically sit, to keep it open for that day.
We should talk. I might be able to get an intern.
But either way, it's just I don't know if I haven't broached that with them yet.
Yep.
Okay, so the theme of the show, well, one of the great things about the award is that I grew up here. I'm a product of the school system, a product of the arts department. I have spoken in the past on request of my former art teachers for school board fundraising. So I've been used in that capacity before as a product of the environment. But I also live in the house I grew up in. I grew up here, I was born here, so I have everything. I saved, my mom saved. So I decided to have a retrospective. And it's going to be from ages 3 to 50. I have 4. So it's going to be kind of a different show. I'm loosely calling it the Matrospective, because I call other shows mad something. I'm going to show everything I have, but only things that I have. I'm not calling in work from sold work or from past. I have enough. But it's going to be just stuff like these are from when I was like 12, 13 years old. Like my love of space shuttles, and I'm a product of the Challenger disaster, so this so I'm going to show not only like the young stuff, but any art creative thing that I've made over there. Like if I had a soapbox racer, I would be showing a soapbox. If all of my kids, like things that I made for his birthday parties, I'm showing it. Clothes that I'm doctored, I'm going to show it. Anything art adjacent on top of all the work I have. But then as another little thing, to be voted to a Kickstarter raise funds. And this is the piece I did. I just finished this as a sample palette. It's gotten better and better. I'm going to do 3 of these. Of just like, so right now I'm working on a space shuttle. And then I'm going to do this piece as well, which is from college. And I'm just going to read my level of ability now, but not changing it too much. So, and then, but I'm literally, I have so much stuff that it's going to pick up the whole room. I've also rented the side room, like not just the main space, but also the little gallery on the side, which will have slides of things that, we took all slides. When we see those slides, I'm going to show the slides. So it's really it's very interesting to have the ability to do this show because, all the cylinders are firing. I grew up here. I went through the Kingston High School. I continued to work diligently over the next 30 years. And then I get the award. I did stuff. I've done murals. Like it all is fitting together. It's like it was meant to be. So that's where I'm at. And one other project which is loose, but I would still like to try to pull off a mural during the tenure of the award before the next artist is chosen. And that's still loose, but it is an idea that, again, I'm not necessarily looking for total help. I think I can pull it together and get it to execute it. I'm just going to need logistics help, like the paperwork kind of stuff from the city. But I have an idea of where I want it. I don't know, that new post office park's looking pretty nice. If that's possible. Originally the idea was to do a mural of the post office. I've done a lot of building drawings, like I call them like building portraits, house portraits. I've done a lot of them, and all of those sketches will be in the show. Maybe doing a portrait of the post office. But then I remembered the Y burned down, and the Y could be really cool too, to have a drawing of the old Y, which was a great building. Everyone's familiar with it, but it was very, very cool. It was much, much more interesting than what was built in its place. Out of necessity, I'm not saying. A box is way cheaper than something more made out of brick, but it still was a sad thing when that went. you obviously remember it well. You remember there were two fires. There was the first one, and then it went. That was when I was in high school. I think it was 90, 91, or 90, 92, somewhere around there. And I went to nursery school there.
You went where?
I went to nursery school with the live, or it was Ronnie Hazard and Winter Bear. That's where I went to nursery school. So, but again, that's a loose idea. But again, I've mentioned it to some names in Kingston, bigger, older people than me that have funds that are more than willing to help if we are able to execute that. But that's one step at a time. We can talk about it more, but I'm focused on this because it's a lot of stuff. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be very different to see a true, like, from child, like infant child to a grown later adult, to see what they've done. So I'm pretty excited. I'm happy to
I love it.
present it.
I love it. How can we help you? How can we support you?
I think at this point, it's really on me to kind of organize it. I might need help getting the word out when the time comes, but I know Lisa's gonna help me with like the like press release and things like that. And I have it all finalized right now. Like I said, I applied for a Mid-Hudson Arts grant, which I should know in the next 2 weeks. I got an email in June saying mid-June they have all the announcements. So I'm hoping for that. We're gonna put out, she's gonna help me put out a call to corporate sponsors, and then I'm gonna do a Kickstarter or GoFundMe, whatever you wanna call it. But that's what these are. These will be the rewards, like I'll make prints, and then they'll be able to say at what tier, like, so this is the mid-tier. But that's what I'm gonna do, like the first tier will be the space shuttles, and then this will be the third tier, and then that's what you'll get for helping me do the award. And I'm gonna keep it relatively limited, and then whatever overages will be available at the opening. But that's the plan, that's where I'm going with it. I'm hoping to be more than funded by this. And then it's just for really materials, so.
So what's your mark coverage? You know, I got 1,000 questions on the big mouth. You go.
Does it have a good mouth?
Are you selling one to her?
Well, everything's for sale. I mean, this isn't gonna be a traditional show in the sense of it's gonna be all finished sale work. I am going to put prices on almost everything, but I don't expect any or all of it to sell. Like, I have every house portrait I do a 1-to-1 sketch. So I started on laser print copier paper, because that's what I like to draw on. And I do a 1-to-1 drawing from a picture so that I can measure off of that sketch onto the good paper for the client. But I save all those, and they're perfectly great drawings. So I'm going to show all of those. But I have them in a box at home. It's 50 or 60 of them. Those will be for sale. For how much? I don't know. Is anyone going to want this thing? I don't really take good care of it, but it's still sellable as a sketch. So, I mean, there will be stuff for sale, and then there will be finished pieces as well. But I think it's going to be interesting to see the highs and lows and the level of finished work versus sketch work. And then the level of finished work from college is going to be different from what I'm doing now. But I think most of it will be for sale. Maybe not all the college stuff, but maybe the later adult, like post-college work, I'll probably sell. But anything before that, I might hold on to a certain extent, or have the internet because I don't want to let it go. Kind of stuff, you know. Everything's more expensive when you're in love with it, and then when you fall out of love, you're willing to take a little less. So that's the way I see it.
What's your fundraising goal?
Well, I think I can pull it off for $3,500. Is my guess. So that's paid. The space is $1,100, so that's a third of it right there. I know I'm going to have to spend a lot on materials because you're not allowed to hang on the walls at the space. So on their suggestion, I'm going to do a salon hanging. I'm full sheets of foam core and then deliver those foam core sheets. So instead of having to hang 50 pieces, I can hang one and then just do like 15 or 20 of them rather than 100 plus pieces. But that stuff's not cheap. So I mean, I have no doubt like Catskill will help work with me, either because for whatever reason, like I know them, but also like they'll got the deal. What?
Right, that's right.
Rhinebeck works with I
It
too.
is big, like, keeps it high.
Okay, that's good to know. And then the opening costs, and then if there's any, like, for someone else to sit or something like that. And, you know, I'm not looking to make money, like, I'm just looking to not be in the hole.
Right.
So, and I know that they do take a commission on sales, so if there's stuff to sell, it's not a lot.
Rent and.
Yes. It's not a lot, I'm just there doing a good thing, it'd be more if it was like just a gallery, like that would be more of an issue, but. I mean, it's not like 60-40 or 50-50. I think it's like 70-30 or something like that, maybe it's even 90-10, I don't remember. I just know that there is a fee, which is, it's fine, and like you said, I'm not expecting to sell much because it's not gonna be looking like finished work, it's gonna be more of timeline story rather than a place to go and sell, but like I said, I will make things available to buy. If that's not my end all be all, if that was the case, I'd be calling pieces in and making a traditional show, which I don't know, I mean, I just feel like this is a great opportunity to show these things that are saved for no reason other than to burden our children with them.
Yeah.
So this is like, all the Swedish death cleaning.
Oh, yes.
This is, there's a good thing, there could be a possible that I just burn half of it afterwards, because I won't need it again, I won't, but
So if they're taking a cut of the sale, does that mean they're also preparing all of the paperwork related to the sale? Or is that your responsibility?
I'm not gonna, I don't know.
Because it sounds like if you're renting it,
Yeah, they're
you
gonna.
don't have any loan forms with them. You're not lending your work to them.
I have to sign a contract liability, I accept all liability of the work.
Mhm.
It's not covered under their insurance at all. That's why another reason why I'm not calling it work. It's the only stuff that I own. So it's if I lose it, I lose it, but no clients are losing it. So. I mean, I haven't thought of that, but I will ask them. I would assume if they're gonna be taking money. Work to do so, and if not, then there's a discussion, but I mean.
And you have an agreement with it that stipulates the terms of.
I already signed the
Yeah.
contract, so I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there was something egregious, I would have not signed it immediately. But I was also really looking to lock down the space because it was the first place I thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa suggested the gallery, or your gallery, but I didn't think it was big enough.
Yeah.
Not for this concept. Like if I was just having a show, of like just newer work or whatever, then yeah, a smaller space would be fine, but I feel like I have this chance to show all this stuff, like why not? And then, like I initially didn't rent the small enclosed gallery space there because I wasn't sure if I need it. But a friend of mine made like a 6-minute documentary about me, and then I thought of the slides. Yeah. So I was like, well, let's rent that extra room. That was another $300 or whatever it was to rent it. But I figured this is the one time that my ego really comes out. And I was like, let's just take it all and just make it completely me. So that's kind of how the mural got so big down at the Maritime Museum, because I didn't want to share with anyone else. But it worked out well because that seats that building really well. So
One of the best deals.
thanks. So, but yeah, that's, I'm just trying to get it all together, make it really easy for me to put together. I know that I'm gonna get help from the students to maybe assemble and hang it and whatnot, but other than that, I mean, I'm pretty self-sufficient. I'm not looking to do anything where I need big equipment. It's all just ladders and whatnot. So.
Do you have a question?
I just want to say something. I just think what really strikes me about what your concept is, I mean, not just, it's yes, it's about your life and the growth of your work, but something that really is, I think, really important that we've well talked about is you're somebody who came from here. You went to the schools, and you stayed. And one of the things that I think is so important is how the arts give opportunities for people here to stay here and not leave.
Yeah,
And you represent that, and I think that's really extremely important.
there's a few of us. Joe Conker's one.
Yeah.
Joe grew up here. Yeah. No, I mean, again, that's why I feel like it's really wonderful to push the fact, down their throats that I'm the product, the art department. The art department, no offense to the school system, but it is the former shell of what it was when I was there 30 years ago. I mean, it is not even close to what it was. But I mean, it's always very frustrating to see, monies get pushed here and pushed there and things get left to the wayside. And it's nice to be able to be a representative of a product of that environment, that where it comes through. It's like, sports get pushed. They're easy to highlight them. It's easy to get behind them. It's a group thing and whatnot. So it gets a lot of bells and whistles and polish, and the artists kind of fall to the background. That's what's so great about what a lot of the things that have transformed this city in a lot of ways since growing up. I mean, Uptown Kingston, when I was a teenager, was a dust bowl, like UNC tumbleweeds on Saturday and Sundays. The only time Uptown Kingston was busy on the weekends was Sunday, the brunch during church. Saturday afternoons, tumbleweeds, you didn't see anybody on the street. That's when we go to the parking garage and ride our bikes or skateboard. Because nobody was around. You're not going to get in trouble. So it's really great. I mean, visually, this place is so much more interesting to see than when I was a kid. Like the fact that all these murals showed up, I was like, what is going on? How did this happen? And it started with the weed pastes and then moving around. But my art career didn't really take off until I did the mural uptown. Nobody knew. Nobody knew that I was. They knew me as the blow guy snappers. That was it. And then he started doing that, and then it went nuts. So,
Right.
Yeah, anything I can do to, help push, help make the city more interesting. It's perfectly happy. That's why I'd love to really push and work on that post office park. But I understand that if it's a jewel right now, it's new, it's very shiny and new. So it might be hard to thumbprint on that.
Yeah, well,
But it's fine.
no, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, yeah.
There's lots of people with other ideas. But that's where my mind is going, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
No problem.
It's really great to know what's going on.
Yep.
I hope you'll keep us updated and
I will.
what your needs are. But we'll be in touch too, so. Yeah. All right.
So Matthew Pleva, 2024 Distinguished Artist Awardee. It's been wonderful having you. I can't wait for this exhibition.
I'm pretty excited. Oh, and then, one more thing. I'm hoping to talk to at least our department in Kingston about trying to get students at least to the show or do maybe some sort of programming over the month. So, let me know one of the two there and we will just Price.
Oh, I don't know.
Jessica Price. She's one of the I think she even teaches like the AP class now. But I can talk to her about trying to figure out something at least there, but I know maybe somewhere.
Well, even the after school groups, like hours,
Yeah.
there's so many
If we can work it out, I mean,
gallery visits.
that's again another thing that I want to put out in the press release, or even hit touch, like table touch the local groups that have kids.
Yeah.
And try to set something up, and I'm pretty scheduled free. I can make myself available even if anytime, it's multiple. I'll do it as many times as people show up.
Okay.
It's also, my work's not stuffy in a lot of ways, like it's really easy for a younger to, they can when you're speaking, it's not, so advanced. It's a little bit more like culture based. It's more illustrative. It's not as fine arts scientific. There's some of it is, of course, but
Mhm.
it's gonna be fun. There's a lot of stuff in here that if you haven't seen my other work, it's gonna be neat to see some of the stuff. Like I've got metal sculptures made in college that are like metal books that are etched steel pages, and they're basically like artifacts from my own archaeological like culture, like movie props kind of thing. So there's a lot. There's like huge charcoal drawings. There's all this stuff like just from high school that's more like you're just riffing on instinct rather than actually knowing what you're doing. It's stuff I'm going to do a workshop that I got to do as well. Like I went to Women's Studio workshop 3 years in a row, once a month, once a week for a month. Through some sort of grant.
Yeah, they still do that.
But it got me into college. So. Okay.
We gotta move on
Yeah,
in our agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I'll follow up with you soon.
Enjoy your meeting.
Oh, you know.
I'm set, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I
Oh,
was,
okay.
but I would love to connect with you about the kids, so that
Oh, okay.
you're working a lot with all of you here,
Okay.
and anything else.
Um,
I'll get your email.
Email or just Instagram. My name. I think it's easy. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Awesome.
Okay.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks.
Oh.
All right, so next on the agenda, strategy and funding committee report. Richard and I will be presenting our notes. Richard, do you want to start?
Please, yeah.
We have a handout, with some key points around, this meeting with the mayor of Kingston, is that handout? There are 2 meetings that, that we're reporting on.
So. We met with the mayor, this meeting was with just DJ and me, on the, you can see, you know, it must have been written there, but we wanted to know, you know, what, just sit down about.
Richard, I'm sorry, Cesar doesn't have a copy. Did
I
you
did.
get it out? I'll give you one, you did.
Oh, this was. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's.
Have a copy, please.
What? You may.
Thank you.
Stephen. I have, oh, you got it? Okay.
Do you have another?
Wait, I'm really concerned.
Mine's that meeting with.
Okay.
I thought, it- sorry.
Okay, so the.
So I mean, the point here is just having regular, or I shouldn't say regular, continued, meetings with the mayor, to, about possibilities, for future, funding of the department. First of all, we wanted, you know, really wanted in a private meeting, you know, just his commitment to continuing the arts and cultural affairs department, because again, this is a big thing where the funding is what we're fighting for, and it's a single person operation where it should be. If you look at the requirements for it in the art master plan, it's huge. It's something that requires a staff. And there isn't one, but, and so the question is, you know, is Novo going to continue funding, which they have been doing for the salary? He says it is possible, but they've been not shying away, they've been shifting over more toward program-based funding. You know, for example, like we could get hopefully money from them for the municipal arts collection, implementation, the WPA inventory, et cetera. You mentioned, you know, we've talked about.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
Because this is on camera.
Yeah.
You said the municipal arts collection, you mean the municipal art collection?
Municipal, did I say municipal? No, municipal.
That's what I heard.
Oh, I'm sorry, no,
So, the funding that
I'm sorry, I'm not
you
thinking.
said they may consider as, funding for the municipal art collection and the WPA inventory and restoration. When you say inventory, what do you mean? Because that work was already done by SUNY?
Was that all done by SUNY already, or I thought we still have a lot of
You
inventory?
mean are you, with it, when you say inventory, does that mean the, condition assessment?
Oh, no.
Or the?
No, this, okay, actually, I'm sorry, that's a good point. No, that would, more important than inventory, because that could be done by interns. It's the assessment, the appraisal, the condition, that all, yes, that's something that requires money. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's not clear in my notes. I have restoration in there, but also appraisal, and that's not a simple thing. That's a professional thing that it requires. So,
So the bottom line is that we would need to identify potential programs that Novo may be interested in funding.
yeah,
But NOAA is not against funding staff-related expenses for those programs that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that the way, it's the way that, I think it's the way that you craft the proposal
Yeah.
and the budget to allow for the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that percentage is, that's allowable.
but it isn't clear whether they're going to continue beyond 2026 for the salary for the director.
So,
That's why you included in the various programs that the director carries out on behalf. But this has not been confirmed. I know.
No, I haven't talked about. One of the questions was also, one of the things is we've mentioned charter,
And which I don't understand.
chartering the department.
It's a city department. That's what I don't understand.
It's not chartered.
It's not a charter.
It hasn't been, it's not part of the charter of the city. There's a resolution to create the office, but it's not a permanent.
Oh, so that every department in the city, other departments are part of the charter.
Mhm.
Okay.
And what the mayor said was that's still not going to guarantee funding for the ACA. I mean, although he did mention that a charter reform commission is forthcoming, and DJ noted that formal department status would strengthen grant applications. So that would be something that would make it important. We had heard previously that the city was going to be
Right.
we heard previously that the city was going to go for 501c3 status in December. They're going now. They're starting to proceed now. So that it's been a law firm is shepherding it through. And on the other hand, with all that's going on nationally, it's unclear how long it would take. We don't.
I'm sorry to keep on asking
It's okay.
dumb questions, but so you can be both a city department and a nonprofit 501c3 at the same time?
No, it's.
It would, he's looking to establish a 501c3 for the city. Not for just the arts, cultural affairs office, but other offices such as, I think Parks and Rec is maybe one. I don't know, there's some other.
Be for, could be for any purpose, like if they wanted to fundraise for the lighthouse.
It's a mechanism.
So you have 501c3 arm of the city that you could use as a nonprofit.
understand it as like how the North Museum has the foundation.
Yeah.
Which is, although we're part of the state, we're government, but we have the foundation that's the nonprofit.
And that allows you not to, so you can, go for, funding without having to have a sponsor. Which is what we have now.
Right, which is, has essentially tied our hands behind our back
Yeah,
in terms of raising funds for this particular office.
but it's very good that they're starting now. And not waiting. Steve.
Right,
Um,
so the next steps from those meetings
All right.
was a comparative research
Yeah.
for funding models.
Yeah, and looking at different cities, this was also discussed in the meeting that we had with the council.
Right.
You wanna?
Yeah. So, I just have a question because I wasn't at the meeting. Did the mayor recommend certain cities to look at?
No,
Yeah, okay, so
No.
that
I
was,
just have a question.
yeah,
How much is the city's overall budget, and is it a resource issue, or is it this administration doesn't want to allocate the resources that are needed to have a viable cultural affairs department? And is that why we would look at other cities to see how they make it work? And if they all say they're funded by the city, that would be useful to
that would be useful for them.
have them work. So that's the kind of
Yeah, right, that kind of discovery we need to make.
coming in.
I mean, so we
Second,
met,
right.
that's a good segue, because then we met with 3 of the common council members, Sarah Cassidy, Drew Andrews, and Rennie Scott Childress.
for the finance committee.
Yeah, they're also on the finance committee. But we wanted to further understand how the budget process works from their purview, and how we could request additional line items for the office that would sustain it. And so we talked a lot about how we had this master plan and we have been making all these steps towards community investments, especially with the public art policy now and the committee that's in formation, and that it needs resources in order to be implemented. And so, you know, it was a frank conversation about, you know, how we could get more buy-in from the city. You know, one of the main questions at the start was, how does the arts provide direct revenue to the city? To justify additional resources from the budget, you know, direct is the main word in that question. So, you know, we're still, you know, having to change
How
hearts
do
and
the
minds.
departments provide direct resources for the city? That's an interesting question for all departments.
Right. I know,
But they're chartered.
Are all departments chartered? Because I know health and wellness is not.
I don't know. We didn't talk too much about that with the health and wellness, but they were understanding.
Well, in order to understand what the finance committee is saying is that in order for them to consider allocating any resources whatsoever to the ACA, then the ACA has to demonstrate that it generates revenue from the city. Is that what they're saying?
They are saying that they don't have any control over the allocation. They only review the budget that is proposed and sent from the mayor's office. And then provide advice and corrections or other advisements to changing that budget. So they don't have any, they basically told me they don't have much control over that.
So what's the basis of showing the revenue that the office generates then? To
Right.
whom, the mayor or to them, or all?
Well, the outcome of that meeting was, you need to talk to all the other common council members. I was about to say that it's just hearts and minds changing, a mentality, this psychology that the arts are not essential, and that I mean, that they don't provide enough of an add-on value to be supported.
We
When-
just spent $80,000 on our master plan. Part of that was an economic analysis.
I know,
To prove that the arts reinvest 160 million back into Kingston's economy and.
Yes.
So what more proof do we need to generate?
well, the thing is that it was not funded by the city, right? Now, those two things were not funded by the city, were funded by Novo Foundation.
No, but now we're getting this, well, you have to show how you generate revenue, so I'm like. just
Well,
$80,000.
it's a devil's advocate question. It was a friendly devil's advocate question. How do we approach this? Basically how the conversation started, because the dollars and cents aren't there from their purview.
That's fine.
So,
Say that. Because we can go through all
well,
of
that's
this work
basically,
to show that we're generating all of this.
But it
we
wasn't-
already have.
but it wasn't a closed door conversation. It was the beginning of a conversation. Okay, that's what you think, but the fact is that tourism wouldn't be what it is. We just had Matt Pleva talking about how the whole city changed because of the public art that started to pop up all over the city. It's changed the face of the city. If all those things were gone, what would we have left? It would be what he just said, dust balls in the corners of almost every part of the city. So it's
And
just,
Sarah Pasti is on the finance committee.
Yes.
Because she is the consultant for the city of Peekskill, which is I know it's a
Yeah.
little bigger, but the city of Peekskill is similar to, because they're calling me a lot because they want to know from me what to do. So, or what we have done with this or what we have done with that, because they're starting this or they're starting that. I don't know if they are supported by the city of Peekskill. But I guess the main source, and Sarah was at this meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that would probably be the main source of somebody that could tell you how Peekskill's doing it.
She was also the consultant for the master plan for the arts for the county of Ulster.
But and they're funding the position 100%.
Exactly.
So it's nickels and dimes here or there, but to be asked to do any more work when I think a lot of this work is done, I'm puzzled. Thank you though for having these meetings. I really appreciate it. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, again, it was, I think that question of direct, fund, how much of do the arts take in, give its revenue, was also just for the purpose of saying, how do we sell this to the general public?
Right.
When, for taxes, when the taxes are going for this, how do we say this? That was the basic question, and it was Remy's question.
It's in the report. It's in the master plan. It's in the economic analysis that hard work was done on. So I'm not sure what more they want
Right, that's actually
or
something.
how much more they need.
This is something we did, we brought, we said back to them.
Certainly, we'd love to do the work, but
Yeah.
if we're going to do any more work and nothing happens, then why do any more work? I'm a little, right now demoralized by all this, but certainly not going to work any less harder than I have been.
I think this was, I think it was a good, breakthrough, just to be able to have sit downs, first of all, to have sit downs with the mayor, to have sit downs with common council people, and by all means, we do want to have with others and anybody who wants to be involved in talking, and it should be, meetings where it's not a bunch of us with one council person, but where it's just a casual conversation that with points that we want to make and points that and views, points that we want to get from them is always valuable because it allows you to then go back to them each time and continuous conversation. The idea is not to have a one-time conversation and that's it. It's to constantly develop a relationship. I mean, we're an advisory group. This is the kind of thing we should be doing. We should be advocating and with many people, and this includes businesses, as you often bring up. It means it means the political people. It means the financial people, if we have access to them, but helping also on grant writing, you know, as we're talking about with NISCA. So, you know, all of these things, play a role and they accumulate, they act on each other. They suddenly realize just this one meeting you had has an effect on the next meeting, the next meeting. They compound. That's it.
I think that's something to say.
I think it's, you know, we're talking about elected officials who report to a constituency. And the constituency does not appreciate the value of the arts at this moment. And I think that it's part of how they need more ammunition or support or coaching or whatever you want to call it, and have to translate to the constituency the justification for spending tax dollars on things that they don't understand.
Thank you. You said that better than I.
I do want to talk about the structural consideration that they discussed, because I don't think that's a bad idea in terms of collaboration, putting highlights on collaboration that Kit you've done with other offices and departments, and what happens when that's not there, right? And all the fundraising that you've done, grant collaboration, office. Maybe we need to lean into that a little bit. And think about how collaboration will help support and leverage this office, you know. These might not be all the ideas, but we could certainly think about that.
Definitely. I mean, I think that could be really helpful for a strategic plan, is those kind of inner workings of how the office can leverage more influence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, these are, like you said, these are conversations to get more strength and advocacy from these folks. And the more that we talk to them, and the more that we show the collaboration, and certainly those numbers are already been proven, but it's the sustainability of that, demonstrated sustainability. I see that here
Yeah.
of the, and that's not to say that you're not doing that, Kid, but like as time goes on, people begin to depend on the thing that they're not supporting, right? So, yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the other takeaways was to meet with the other common council members and the candidates.
Yeah.
As well, to talk about the importance of the arts. I mean, the angle really they were going with was economic development, about how the arts are valued in that respect. But Maggie's right. We can arm them, or if we don't want to use violent war language, give them the resources to advocate for the arts, whether they like it or not.
It's also being in the face. I mean, I don't mean that confrontationally. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
On. Whoops, well, that's the A recording. Getting great feedback from the community. It's my 5th award. So, and everywhere I go, phrases for the ACA, the phrases for the KAC. So that's verbal. So how, I guess what I'm saying is that how do we document that, or how do we quantify that, or whatever? I'm not sure.
Well,
Because the feedback from the
even
community is extremely positive.
I mean, I was
talking.
talking about putting something like this together for your office. A beautiful comprehensive piece of all of your accomplishments.
Because again, the community feels and sees and smells what I'm doing, what we are doing. And the feedback that we always get as a collective is always very positive. So I'm not sure what feedback they're getting to the negative that, you know.
I don't know if it's negative, it's just that they are not thinking about it. They're not aware of it.
But I guess also kind of going back to, you know, what you were saying is like, what are the analytics, or like, what are the measurables that the constituents don't think the arts have value?
Right.
Can they show us those numbers, right? Or is it based on like, there was a referendum that didn't pass, or like there was money that was to be allocated and everybody voted against it? Like, how do we know constituents don't think arts are valuable?
Well, see, that's why
This is what's really baffling to me, because we, as a past and present, and me and Abby, we haven't heard that, negative things from the community at all. We have
It's not about negative.
I'm really
feedback.
confused by the mixed signals, I think.
But if the elected official, yes,
I'm sorry. So,
We live in the United States of America. And right now in the United States of America, there is a movement afoot to shift and undermine the value of the arts. And that is, that's sort of this underpinning that is allowed because people think of art as something that their kid is, the drawing that their kids do, I mean, it's this old story that we're all tired of telling. But I think that that's part of what we're up against.
I
And
want to push up against that a little bit, or at least qualify it, because like the undermining of the arts is undeniable. Every day in my inbox, there's another email from an organization where that. But but that undermining is not because the populace, the public, have agreed to that. It is being carried out in an effective way, but not as a reflection of popular sentiment.
so we're actually saying the same thing. What I'm saying though is that people think that art is nice and art is fine and art is a good thing. But if you go out on the street, most people don't appreciate the art as a contributing factor to the economy. When people think of the economy, they don't think about the arts. And in a tough economy, I mean, those of us who are in the arts get it, it's like we all know what the arts are contributing. We all know that creative thinking gives executives more power in their roles and just in corporations.
I mean, the
Then-
real estate industry understands it, tourist industry understands it, hotel industry, like
But they're at this level as opposed to,
I just want to see the numbers, because I'm not fully convinced. I think that's kind of like
We'll
the
see.
assumption, but I think like his benefits actually changed more. And I think in terms of strategy, it doesn't behoove us to allow these conversations to be framed as such and putting ourselves on the defense in that sense. Like, I don't think we should ever allow that to be an assumption in a conversation that's saying like the reason why no is because nobody believes the arts are popular, and now the onus is on us to have to prove it. Because like as Kit said, like we do have the numbers that proves it, and nobody has the numbers disproving. It's not like there are all of these polls floating around that are saying that people don't think the arts are popular. It's because like it's just this assumption that that's traditional that we all have, and it should be questioned. And so just like in terms of strategy, I don't think we should allow that to frame conversation.
I think what the council people were looking at is when, yes, we all appreciate that and we can say it, but when tax money is going toward the arts and people question it.
Who's questioning it though?
When they're running for office and people, and they get questioned, they just need the ammunition.
It's not in their conversation.
Pardon?
When they're running for office, I don't hear, and if you listen, are the arts in their conversations when they're running for office
But
or their
I-
campaign pitches?
what I would offer is it's not as much that art isn't, it's that art isn't in the conversation. What's in the conversation is housing and diapers and food.
And
people go-
sewer and water and roads.
Yeah,
and garbage.
and so what they are looking for is something that can enable them to include the arts in the list that is housing, water, food,
Exactly. Thank you.
shelter, that is that.
But-
Because people go, oh, I don't need art, I need a diaper.
But there's also that conversation that seems to have been forgotten of Kingston is the home of all of these arts related businesses. And I just haven't heard that, you know.
And I do think, and like, I actually do think like we can square the circle. But maybe it is about like helping arm the, you know, the spokespeople with the talking points, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like the problem is with this notion of direct, right?
Yeah.
Because the world doesn't work directly.
No.
Finance, like contemporary finance there's nothing direct about it, right? And so again, it's kind of like these framings, like if things are always going to be framed in terms of like, show me the direct cost because nobody thinks arts are important, that's not, that's,
Or primary, you know.
we shouldn't fall into that trap.
And we all agreed it
Just spent, as a collective, the city and the county have spent now $180,000 proving the economic impact of the arts. And if that's not enough to say that without the arts, this is a desert, the tourists have no reason to turn into this exit. Because it used to be that way 20 years ago.
I mean, the bottom line is we all agreed. We wouldn't mind it. We wouldn't mind a portion of our taxes to be allocated toward the arts. And that's really the bottom line. We just need to get the rest of the common council and the candidates who are likely or unlikely to win and let them know or ask them that question. Would you mind that? Would you mind 0.1% of your taxes to go towards the arts? I mean, and that's what we're talking
And
about here.
qualify it as like,
Yes.
as, you know, the arts as a incentive that drives the,
It's
you
an
know,
essential,
yeah.
essential, just like housing.
And it's
But-
essential, and not because it's uplifting, but because it is economically viable, or I mean, it's economically
Right.
valuable.
All those things.
And brings people in.
I think it's about being
Yeah.
on, rather than being on the defensive,
Right,
being on the offense.
Yeah.
Being, this is the value. And this is why we need it. This is why it needs support. And we're only talking about pennies on the dollar.
Right. I mean, does this require us to create a campaign that is above all of this? I mean, yes, we can continue to talk to these folks, but a public campaign.
I don't know, you,
I'm just curious. I mean,
city
why not?
engagements.
Please
tell me.
No, but it's just, you know,
Let's
to
put some
talk
ideas
about-
on the table.
Yeah, I mean, how does it support small business? How does it, you
Yeah.
know, how many of these small businesses are arts related or arts
And
adjacent?
getting them to see that they're arts related when they don't see that.
Correct.
Because there are many that don't see it, then
Right.
how are you arts related?
child's care related to, like, there's so many.
Sorry. I
But I
didn't
think
know.
it's not, we've done all this work.
Right.
And so it's just beginning to filter into, you know, Ulster County has just voted. Has just, you know, whatever else you want to say about this position they've created, they're actually creating an arts position. They're putting dollars behind it. They've never done that before. So I think it's about keeping the momentum of that moving forward as opposed to starting something brand new. It's not considered a stop sign, but here's what's happened, and now we can keep this rolling. And that's what will support the elected officials in going and being able to take a stand.
Why do you think that our Kingston elected officials don't have the same enthusiasm for the arts that the Ulster County elected officials have?
Well, not everybody in Ulster County does.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, I'm thinking about the leadership. I'm thinking about Peter Criswell, and, you know, I'm thinking about the county executive. These are people who were strongly in favor of this. Why don't we have that for the
There
city?
are, what, 15 people in the Ulster County legislature, and there are 5 that were really pro, and it was just the right 5 that were pro,
Well,
that we were willing to take a
that's
stand.
fine.
You know, I mean, I think that's.
I have to leave soon, so I just want to make this one point. I know that you're in the paper and different outlets for different accomplishments. I think this is an opportunity for you to say, my job isn't guaranteed necessarily. I'm here, you know, I mean, this is we got to craft how you say it. But I think the more you're out there saying, like, this is, not indefinite. We are not a chartered office. How do we do this? Because this work is important. It's enriching everyone's lives in different ways. Make a statement. Let's figure out what that statement is, and everybody, so that's what we say.
And also like, this idea that there was this major investment in the arts and culture master plan and then no support for it, that's a public embarrassment.
That's approved
And that's
by the
the-
common council. So this is why I'm-
Right, exactly. And so like, wouldn't the common councilor should be held accountable for that?
So, that's what that was my thoughts. But sorry if you did early.
Thoughts about that?
Yes, I will.
Great, thank you.
By the way, I just want to say that, we keep saying 80,000, I think, went to the forming of the master plan. The mayor said it was 200,000. Didn't, I didn't either, but he said it.
Inflation.
Lord and Stover were paid 80. Out of my budget.
Pardon?
Lord and Stover, the economic analysis
Yeah.
firm, were paid 80 total.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I.
okay. I don't know where he got.
I know.
Well, our time is up on this agenda item. Unless you
Okay,
want to
I
continue.
just want to make one point, and I know this is coming fast, but we are just understanding that we can apply for the NISCA grant. So in the handout, and I will email this to you, there's ideas that I've jotted down that I've given to Ruth Ann. And if you have any other ideas of what we can do, NISCA support for organizations, did everybody get this? Could you by, well, I'd love it by tomorrow night, but over the weekend, think tank on this and send me anything that you think might go into this grant, because I really have to hunker down by Wednesday to write.
So you said,
I didn't send it to you.
But
I
you want it by Monday, you said?
Yeah, Monday, it would be great. Give you over the weekend. Because Ruth Ann is working on the T-Mobile grant right now. But this is due on the 26th, and she's got a wave of grants that she's working on. So I've jotted down these ideas for a USA 250 series. But if you have anything else that you'd like to, or if you have suggestions, input, anything that you'd like to give me, please by
Monday. I appreciate it. Jake, say already to get it.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
I
Because we now have to run this agenda, so.
okay.
what program at NISCA is this under?
This is the
Support
support organization. Because we've applied for the Artsman Hudson, DJ had to go back to make sure, DJ and Lizanne had to go back to make sure we're eligible for this fund. And the Artsman Hudson pot is not funded by NISCA, so we're able to go into this. But it took a while to get in touch with people and everything like that, so we only have a couple weeks to get this in.
I have an idea I'd love to talk to you about, but I'm in such a crazy crunch period at work. Can I talk to you like briefly after or another point in the meeting?
Yeah, because I gotta rush to.
Okay. I have some time at the end.
Okay, could you put time tomorrow?
Nope.
Yeah, no. This is what I'm talking about.
All right, then let's move on and see if we have some time at the end. Public Art Committee report. We're going to see advisory on methods, procedures, and priorities for 2025. Lester, take it away.
I'll keep it quick because I think there's more of a discussion that's next for the Public Art Committee. We had our meeting. We updated on the person assessing the condition of the WPA painting. She's coming in Tuesday. We had a little discussion about ad hoc committees and what people's specific interests are, and the ordinance provides for that as needed. Then we sort of took a wrong turn and talked a little about curatorial interest, if there was any, for helping with exhibitions, and it turned out that's not our purview, and I take it all back. And we also had a discussion that I'm tying together some threads, but Lindsay and Richard and Esther Wu all had interest in doing more to promote what we've done, and this dovetails with why people don't sort of see the value of the arts. And as an aside, Americans for the Arts has an arts advocacy toolbox geared for national representatives, but there's a lot of good information in there. But there was interest in sort of documenting, having something written up about past exhibits and programming. Esther Wu's expertise is more on marketing, branding, using social media platforms to gain a presence in the market, which is art audience. So that was sort of a theme that emerged, and I think that could be something that would be appropriate for the public art community to work on, shaping the messaging for art in the public sphere. Richard pointed out how the alcove on the second floor was enhanced by Sojourner Truth, and the upcoming photography exhibit sort of uses that space, and that was sort of an accomplishment that could be part of the messaging and the documentation and all of that. There was some grant language that Richard and I just put together, so Ruth Ann would have sort of a template, if needed, on ways to document in educational materials and resources, wall text, QR codes, that kind of thing. It was a freewheeling meeting. I was visiting my mother at the time and had arrived an hour early, so it wasn't our best and most organized meeting, but I think we're getting to know each other. It was our second meeting. And I think when Kit talks about the sort of the documentation and the guiding documents we need, there'll be a chance maybe to workshop that or, get going in a more organized fashion. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but the perfect example of that I brought it up was the Readers Sewing in Kingston piece, because now Google it, boom, you see the whole exhibit, you see the photos, you see, everything that we're talking about that we need to do. We've had some extremely great events. We have one great video that Hudson did of the peace tree planting. They did that for free. They're not doing it for free anymore. They're a nonprofit. But we don't really have for Kingston Revealed. We have a massive amount of people here. We had Matulka dancing in City Hall, Matulka Little People. The major installation, SUNY New Paltz was here, and they had a lot of photographs. Kingston, the Radio Kingston took a lot of video. So putting this all together is great, but I think for our exhibitions, my little handiwork where I take all the thumbnails of pictures and I put it on a piece of paper and I say, here's the guide, that's pretty amateurish. I think that what Richard and Lester are talking about is doing it the way that Rico did it. And that other museums and galleries do it, so that you do have an archive, so you can show not only what the show was about, but the impact of the show and the mascots that were taken. So we do have this blurb, and I think that Roseanne Lester wrote up something. So we can put it in a concept paper for Roseanne and see about going after some funding for it. Lester estimated that this would be about like 4,500. I don't know if that's per event, per exhibition, or is that? Richard told me you did this for the Ben Blake Fall exhibition.
I'm sorry, I was just distracted. No, but I did, for the Ben Blake Fall exhibition, I've done, newsletters and so on.
You've done archiving with the.
Oh, the archiving, I'm sorry, I did miss.
Cataloging.
Yeah, cataloging, right, that I've done, that's for the estate. Yeah, and it's and that's extremely important, having databases of things, because you can constantly you can constantly refer back and that all the information doesn't have to be great photos or anything, it just has to be notes, you know, a history of,
And yeah, we have pictures, lots and lots of pictures of the way that the community has come together in City Hall, which is historic in
Yeah.
itself. Especially the different colors, especially the warring organizations that don't speak to each other, but when they come to our parties, they're hugging and kissing, and then tomorrow they're fighting again. But at least when they're at our events,
Yeah.
you know, there is a unity in our community like nobody sees.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot, but I understand and I agree that we need something like that. I'm a party of one, so either I pull back on doing and go to reporting, or we figure out a way to get some backup. Because it would be great to have had backup as I do. Last year I was exhausted last year because so much pain at once. The statute came at the time that we were writing the public art policy. If it wasn't for Dorsey, we wouldn't have had that loan agreement so fast. And that's why I brought up these examples. Warren, you must have had something to do with this because as you know, the controversy that the statute brought up, Dr. Wheeler reinstated the Public Art Committee of SUNY New Paltz. And I'm looking at this and it just clearly, I know we have something written in our public art policy. It's pretty generic. Jennifer McGregor said, I'll give you Paris. This is true. And looking at New Paltz's public art bylaws, I think they pretty much might mirror ours. And, Lester had mentioned, when he came on board and read the public art policy, this is very generic. We need to really hunker down and advise the Kingston's public art committee on its bylaws, on its purpose, on its methods and procedures. There's more from SUNY info, and it's pretty. Again, I just call Anna. Can I have this? Can I have that? So, and then Lester also has other examples, because what I feel also is that I don't know if the community is really ready to start working on at the level that the Kingston Arts Commission is, because it is brand new. And so it does have to understand its policies, its bylaws, if you will, and structure, and then prioritize what it is to take on this or that. And then sort of subcommittees are concerned, that's best. But, I do think that it was premature for me to, and this was just an advisory capacity, and I have, as an example, when Amy Crooks came during flood Art Society of Kingston, she came to get advice on restart of the biennial sculpture. She really had nothing, but there was presumptions that she was supposed to present something, but she was coming for advice. I've since spoken to her. I'll get to that later. So I think what I felt in the last meeting was that we certainly do need help from the Kingston Arts Commission in crafting and structuring the committee. And so Lester's provided some samples. I sent some samples as well, especially from SUNY New Paltz. I love it together, and it's plain simple. It's not 20,000 pages to read. It just says it all.
This is really. Eugene. Oh. Yeah.
Lester. Do you want to speak?
Does the commission have anything comparable to bylaws or guidelines? Because it's the commission that takes official actions. My understanding, the committee recommends to the commission.
And the commission recommends to the mayor, and the mayor makes the final decision.
So it's more like, do you call it a bylaw or do you call it a guideline or
I don't
rules
know.
and procedures?
Yeah.
And I think it's more like that, less formal. And it has to do with the department isn't chartered in You know, I don't know if it's a legal thing or if that's just nobody's gonna ask this question. But we do need a roadmap, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think bylaws or something like you have for bylaws.
If you miss 3 meetings, you're out. That's what a bylaw says.
Yeah, what we need
That's
is
a bad example.
Well, that's what they had called these, but when I read it, it was certainly more than bylaws.
So the examples that I found from California were a little more simple, but those bodies sort of make a recommendation and choose an artist and we're just, we the
And a lot of that
committee.
is in the public art policy. But
Yeah, there's the diagram.
yeah, so
I put together something, you know, more like operating guidelines, you know, Robert Rules of Orders, agenda in advance. I wrote it out, but it's, I
Yeah.
think, premature. Or
Is it? I don't think so. It's underneath all your stuff on.
Okay.
A lot of paper.
And there's more, can you pass it to your neighbor? That's what the teacher says. It's really up to the commission to tell the committee how you want to see us move forward, but I just put together off the top of my head, sort of what the rules and guidelines for operating would be. And this is just a start.
right.
And I think it'd be helpful for the commissioners who are not seated on the public art committee to say, no, we need more specifics, or, yeah, this is cool. You guys need one? Oh, this is, you know, a retired bureaucrat trying to remember what I used.
I feel like this one is about me. Since I missed the second meeting.
That's more of a bylaw thing, and I don't think
Cross this.
we need it.
Which one are you talking about?
Is there a mass number?
Oh.
I mean, this is just, they're all, I think all of these documents are to see what's the depth we want to have to guide the public art committee.
Bylaws guidelines are the guidelines tell you where to go, bylaws are the rules you follow.
Right. This has nothing to do with anything. I have trouble hearing. I had a hearing aid yesterday and told my twin brother, he said, I had one the day before. And we compared and they're identical. Anyway, nothing to do with anything, but if I asked you to repeat, that's
Sorry
why.
about that hearing aids and I still say what.
So I told him to buy 2. So direction to go forward with? Any?
I think it was extremely helpful. And I was saying that it's the same for the public art. Having it.
But it should come from you guys. Right, I shouldn't. Well, should I?
Well,
It's just a hierarchical thing.
you are.
yeah,
I know, but it's like,
Well,
the current president being in charge of everything, you know.
What should come from us, like the thumbs up or the drafting?
I mean, is this everyone's sense of the work of the public art committee? And is it consistent with the ordinances creating the commission and the committee?
I thought so, as far as I.
I think, you know, it needs a little steering here and there, like what specifically are we doing and what aren't we? The need was clear when I was talking about exhibitions, whether I looked at 19, it says that's part of the ACA
Right.
or not.
I guess for me, there are things here that I don't, need to be in here, and there are others that are very important. So that, for example, motions or recommendations shall be forwarded and made to KAC pursuant to the established ordinance, et cetera. That's very good to write down. As far as,
Next stuff.
as far as the intent to allow informal orderly discussions of agenda items, Robert's rules of order, I don't know that that is critical, for something like this.
Yeah, that's more my personality. It's good feedback, but I mean, sit with it, especially Kevin, who's The Irving is.
Have you looked at public art committee charters, for cities?
Yeah, and it depends how autonomous the committee is. A lot of time, they're the commission.
Hmm.
Public art.
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
On
I
the
was
basis of the public, like a lot of the commissions, Kingston Arts Commission, it's they are the public art, period. Like Asheville. Asheville's Kingston Arts Commission is Asheville Public Art Commission. Yeah, so we have a Kingston Arts Commission, and then we get subcommittee by resolution is a policy committee. Which can be amended to also add another formal one as we go, but that's the first ever. And, so, and there's like, when it first got funded, I just don't want to slap all this stuff at everyone and say, okay, which one do you want? Meeny, miny, mo, because this commission has been here for almost 10 years or more. Knows the city and knows what the priority should be. So to me, I think it's kind of just jumping, and maybe that's what needs to happen, is that, meetings occur and we just keep, discussing and it forms, by default. But to me, there needs to be more structuring of it.
More what?
Structuring of.
Yeah, I'm looking by default, it's by profession, by relation, but as we talk, and this is again, we're talking to council people, so you just build a conversation that just keeps going and results and things. I mean, you realize at a certain point when you say something, and now let's do something, so that the constant coming together.
We haven't really dual hold of the committee for the next meeting. And I don't really feel comfortable in establishing the agendas. I think that Lester should be working with the KAC to create the agendas for the committee. So perhaps. Maybe, because we only have 10 more minutes, but, perhaps that could be a good start, that Lester, and Sophie has designated, commission members, work with the commission to establish the agendas.
And this takes off work from you.
Well, I'm not talking about work. I'm
No,
not worried about
it's-
it. I just think it's not my place to do so. It's not my specialty area in the first place.
I shouldn't have said it as work. It's also, it's that it shares the responsibility, which is what makes us all the more
But
functional.
for someone who doesn't have this as a specialty area to try to, figure out what the agenda looks like for a direct public art committee, it's kind of moot, because I'm just kind of, looking at whatever is coming to me, all of the individuals and organizations that have come to me. You hear Matthew Plewa today, interested in doing something over at Post Office Park. I just, I don't know, saying that a lot of people are talking about public art and doing public art. Yeah, a lot of people are. So how does the committee or how does the commission advise that the committee deals with these conversations that are happening? Because as we know, it comes to me, I have a list, and then, it goes to the committee to hear, advise, recommend if it's ready, or advise, here, maybe work on this, maybe work on this. You're not really ready to present to the Kingston Arts Commission, and then have whomever taking 15, 20 minutes at the commission to present. The commission says, this sounds good, recommend it to the mayor. The mayor says yes or no. This is what's written in the policy, but I'm not sure of the agenda. Okay, I've given a list of those that are waiting to speak to the commission committee, maybe there needs to be more of a period of discovery also about how this particular machine works called the City of Kingston. Not sure. But that's why I'm here. But I'm certainly not the public art expert that should be advising on the agenda or anything else. I'm learning. Surrounded by wise people that are teaching me a lot, but certainly I don't have, the background to guide the formation of this.
Well, I don't either, so I'm kind of leaning on others here to help and support you. Yeah.
So why don't I pull together with my co-commissioner on the committee after the show opens and gets glowing reviews of the Times like the
And
last
Lindsay,
one
you're
did.
co-chair, you're in term co-chair.
Let's pick and choose and come back with something. And I've staffed public art committees where the agenda is presentation, a draft call for artists. It's a program because there's a public works project that's gonna have an art component, or you're getting a presentation from a developer's consultant who wants to put a fountain in front of something. It's pretty, here it's more organic because there aren't programs or specific projects.
Well, that's why I kind of liked Cindy Newfall from, there we go with Dorsey again.
There's the
that
form.
They have a form. Perhaps we should, if the committee, or the commission thinks that the committee is ready to start hearing this, then they should, start with, providing us with something, Sophie asked for this. And the form, I think, is pretty basic, and they can, attach, did you see it?
Yeah. Because and then it helps the guidelines. Are we an opportunity-driven public art program, or are we a competitive program where artists compete, submit for a specific site? Building. We don't have those really.
Well, the way I see it now, coming from the other side, is like, because there is no funding, we can only assess artists that are already funded and are only looking for help logistically in space, kind of like a method thing here.
Well, they really, I think that's a question that I have for the commission too. You have people like Carmen Mazzardo, who is always asked for to apply for various grants. She's invited to apply. I recall, as you recall, CPW, when they were working on their application to NEA and they wanted to involve the project in public spaces, they came to us before they started writing that proposal. They came to KAC, they came to me, they came to Ruthann, they came to the mayor. I think that is more of a procedure that they take. If you go ahead and work on this and say, I want this over at Academy Green, and you get the proposal, and then you don't get the approval from the KAC to recommend to the mayor because there's issues with it. I don't think that might be the way that we want to go. I think that we want to certainly invite people to, when they do see, because you're right, we don't have money. We're certainly not asking people to apply for grants for this public art project or that. We're inviting people to, individual artists that we, number one, want to support in seeking that, and then coming to us like CBW did, because they did every single step the right way. They spent time with me, Ruthann, mayor, as I said, and then they came to the KAC. Everybody loved the project, and they went for it.
But now the case is to actually partake in the city. What CPW we're planning to do, obviously get the budget together first, and can't go forward without having the grants, but using our specific space and using it as a prototype. Hey, we did it here. Let's say this is what we can do. I've consulted with Timely. I have installation. I have all the budget. And how can logistically you help me pull this out in public space within the city? Which, as an institution, I don't have that information. Which go into the city, but have everything else: finances, who to contact for installation, the contact with the artists, everything else can be facilitated. Just connection with the city and logistics is what I need, and that's how I see it in this one. is that if I have 80%, 85, 90% of the project ready, including fairness, then like if you can help friends, it's a great way to learn and vote.
What did you think of the form that your?
I haven't seen it. I'm gonna look at it.
Okay.
But
It's, it's right there.
Yeah, I want to be streaming, so. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to work, just to excellent messages.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a.
So,
Yeah.
that's what we went through with Amy, and talking about it, and water to Sue Cahill. And Sue Cahill had a list of things that water to the mayor, and the mayor, well, Sue, you gave her that website, to look at what's underneath the ground. Is there water pipes, is there, you know, whatever running under the ground before you consider putting your exhibition here? So, yeah, there are steps that's written in the policy that, you know, people might want, if they want to do on public property, that they should do before even considering to put anything on public art. And a lot of people do know that already, but we haven't really put it out on the website. You know, we haven't put these in procedures. I mean, this is pretty clean.
That seems like a pretty important agenda item for the public art committee, is to establish those steps for someone.
It's like clearing house from.
Exactly what Sophie was asking, and it's true that, you know, I can't really present based on what I've heard at meetings with me and send everybody around. They should probably fill out something like this after they do all of their discovery work to the committee. So the committee has something with an attachment.
My concern about Ask and other things, I don't know that they are experts in public art.
Right.
And I've been thinking about this actually. It's a very different thing to have a place where the public opens the door, goes into their space, closes the door, and then it is having art on the street where people see it all the time,
Well,
live
this
their
is why,
lives.
if I can, when I spoke to their exhibition coordinator the other day, this is what I was suggesting, because I was reading to her all of that catalogs and all of these experts that were on all of these committees, right? So these committees were huge. And also the director of public works was on, from the city was on this. So they had, it wasn't just the people that work for Art Society of Kingston. It was even economic development was on their. I'm not even sure if they were doing it, but they were on their sheet. But it was all the experts that had anything to do with anything that were on the committee, and that's what I suggested. And just slow down and not try, because they've got so much going on, and I'm so proud of them. Because they rebuilt Ask, and they rebuilt its brand, and they have reached into New York City now. So this might take a couple of years to put together, but it's going to have to be a very strong committee of people with background in public art, and also, as you all did when Sue was on the board, just put everybody at the table together to have these discussions and to help them do all the discovery work that they have, so that they can determine which sites they can or cannot have the shows on.
So what's the best next step then from the committee's purview?
To do a lot of work and schedule a meeting on procedures, process, and to get, buy-in on the committee, the appropriate clearinghouse for forms. So
So we should have
It's
something
never
on the
tried.
website. There
Yeah.
should be something, we should start engaged Kingston page.
and we would need to come up with some criteria. How do we evaluate it other than receive it? Because then you get the
Yeah,
most wealthy kid who's an artist and being able to do something on his family's property. It might not be the best art, but it would be the best funded. So criteria is
And
important.
private property, I like that too.
We were discussing private property,
I waited till I
we're only discussing city.
Well, I'm sorry that took a lot longer, but I think that was a really good conversation. So,
Does the commission meet both months of the summer season?
I think the commissioners want to keep going. For commission, most commissions, like, soon take off in August. But
All of you guys in the Valley, anyway. We met last year in August.
yes,
So we'll set up some meeting times.
Yeah.
In between. It's opening, you're opening.
so Richard, I'm gonna stay, so it'll be for a few minutes, so I'll meet you there.
Yes, I'm going home and driving.
May I have a motion to close the meeting?
So.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Thank you, everyone.